Got it. Thank you very much, Eric. Eric, if I may ask, though, if I'm ever stopped by the same county officers again, and if for any reason, I don't ever plan on going back into their police department, but if any reason, if I ever end up back in there again, could they use all the information that they have gotten from me the first time?
Well, they can try to do anything they want. But what you need to understand, and then, you really need to get this, is what is the definition of sovereign. You need to get that. Until you get that, you're going to keep coming up with these questions, and I had to bite my tongue to stop from saying idiotic. Because, you keep coming up with the same stuff all the time, and it all goes back, in my opinion, to your lack of understanding of what sovereign means. When someone is sovereign, there is no one who can tell them what to do. Now, I've quite often used the example, if the King of England decided that he wanted to go out and, see how his subjects live. So he walked out, snuck out of the back door of the castle, went down into London, and started walking around just like a commoner. And he said, gee whiz, I've heard about this driver license thing. I think I'll go try to apply for one, see what my subjects have to go through in getting a driver license or social security number. So the king goes down and applies for a driver license, social security number, and whatever. Does that mean he's not the king anymore? So if he gets a driver's license, or if he doesn't get a driver's license, and he's driving around in a car in the highways of London or England, and some English state trooper, whatever they call him, pulls him over, is there anything that state trooper can do to the King of England, no matter what the state trooper might have? The king is sovereign over everybody in England. There's nobody in England who can tell the king what to do. Now, I'm going into this because I want you to get the understanding of what sovereign means. Now, we don't have any subjects like the King of England does. I don't have any subjects. As far as the best of my knowledge, there isn't anybody who holds the same political status that I hold in this country who has any subjects. But that doesn't mean that anybody can tell me what to do. Nobody can tell me what to do. It doesn't make any difference what they have. They can't use anything on me until they can prove that somehow I am subject to their jurisdiction, and they can't do that unless I volunteer. It's very, very simple. Stop trying to make it complicated. That's why I don't charge $800 or $900 like L.B. Bork does for some kind of a paper package to file with all kinds of different state agencies to get you out of their jurisdiction, because the only way that you can possibly be in their jurisdiction is if you acknowledge that you are. I don't care. It makes no difference if you have a birth certificate that your mother got for you when you were born, and if you've been claiming that, even if you've been claiming that birth certificate, it doesn't make any difference, because your having claimed it in the past does not in any way establish that you have any way of knowing, pay attention to the words I'm using, that you have any way of knowing that birth certificate had anything at all to do with your birth. So no matter that you may have presented that birth certificate in the past, that your previous presentation of that birth certificate does not in any way establish that birth certificate has anything to do with your birth. And then, shut up a minute. So then at some time after that, you come to a realization that, gee whiz, I've been using this birth certificate all my life, but I just came to a realization. I don't know that this paperwork has anything to do with my birth. There isn't any way that anybody can know when they were born. Understand that. There isn't any way that anybody on the planet can know when they were born, or where they were born, or who their mother is. Nobody knows any of that stuff about their self. So therefore, it's absolutely impossible, ridiculous, idiotic, for any government agency or bureau to be able to establish that any paperwork, any birth certificate, pertains to your birth. It's only when you claim it that they then accept your claim. Now, I don't know how they can accept your claim with a straight face, because they should say, how can you prove this is your birth certificate? How do we know this is your birth certificate? That's what they should tell you. They should refuse to accept anybody's birth certificate, but that's not the nature of their shell game. That's the way their shell game gets started, and it's the basic fundamental premise that everybody wants to seem to ignore, and they want to go to step 2 or step 3 or step 4, and they want to ignore step 1. And step 1 is you don't know where or when you were born, and neither does anybody else. So you got to hang there. Don't move past that. When you move past that, when the authorities, the police or the court or whoever you may be dealing with, they will move past that. You can't have any ability to stop them from doing whatever they're going to do. But you don't have to go along with it. Just like Larry in North Carolina, was that where it was? When he was in court and he exercised the challenge of political jurisdiction, the judge said, we're going ahead anyway. And he said, not with me, you're not. And he walked out. Now, you can't stop them from doing whatever they're going to do. Don't worry about whatever paperwork they have on you. It doesn't make any difference when you understand sovereignty and how you acquired sovereignty. You acquired it. How? By birth. When you were born sovereign. The 13th Amendment lays that out. The 13th Amendment lays that out very, very clearly. Involuntary servitude shall not exist.
Because you started off.
Eric?
Yes. Who is this, please?
What you're saying, I think what you're saying is very brilliant because it's very simple, which I have a hard time with. But if I could reword it in my own words, would I be correct to say that I don't need to get out of the system because I was never in their system to begin with?
You don't need to, wait a minute. You don't need to file any paperwork to get out of their system.
Because I was never in their
system. No. You were in their system. You were in their system. I mean, all your life you've been in their system. So don't say you weren't, don't say that you weren't in their system. You're missing the point. The point is they can't prove you were in their system. They can't prove that you are the same man that came in there before in their system. They can't prove it.
They can't prove you volunteered.
Yes, that is true, but they can't prove that you were ever there before. You were. You lived in their system all of your life until you decided that you didn't want to be in their system anymore. But when you were born and when you were a child, when you were growing up and going to school, you were in their system. But the point is they can't prove you were in their system. You need to separate those two things in your own mind. And you do not have to do anything to get out of their system. In fact, you cannot file any paperwork that will get you out of their system. Because as soon as you start filing paperwork claiming that you want to revoke your birth certificate or your driver's license or your social security number, as soon as you do that, you are acknowledging that you had those documents in the first place.